What the fuck is up, people? Welcome to Bread and Circuses. Our guests for the week are Chris Baker and Gabbie Hanna. So that's what I'm fucking with you guys.
I'm like, no.
Just two people that have had an absolute meltdown on social media in the last week.
No, we're too easy. It's Sunday morning for us here now, so we ain't bringing none of them negative vibes on here. Chris Baker just being a fucking dumbass. I forget what Gabbie Hanna did though. What did Gabbie Hanna do?
She I don't even every now and then I'll see her trending on Twitter and she's pissed somebody off, and it's like it was something she lashed out at somebody and she said she was the victim, and then she got mad because people said she was having a mental breakdown. And she's like, I'm not having a mental breakdown. I'm just a woman who's defending herself publicly. I'm like, okay. Like, I looked at you changed your profile picture to your face with a bunch of nasty names that people have called you written all over it in Sharpie. You're kind of having a mental breakdown right now. It's okay.
And she thinks she's unique for like people calling her a bunch of bad names, dude. Like,
Yeah,
I went to Army basic training. I've got some worse names that I've been called than some of that shit, dude.
Oh, same here, dude. No, and let me find the picture because it was just like, and she's like, I mean, the bitch is off her fucking rocker. Yeah, she's got irrelevant, not talented, manipulative, dramatic, toxic. I mean, all of these so far are true.
I mean, those are like probably true. I don't know her, like that, but it's like that's not even like that insulting, man.
No,
it's just like
it's really not. Like, if you can't handle
not like they're calling
trolls,
not like they're calling you like a fucking cocksock or something like
right.
that, or like, you know what I mean? Like, they're not calling you like really messed up shit.
Yeah, I mean, and then she had a post where it was like she was like lifting her shirt up to show her bra or something like that, and it said, just a reminder that I could fuck both of your parents and the person you love the most, but I choose not to. I'm like, who let these butter-faced white women get so goddamn cocky right now? Like, what the fuck is it? Like,
yeah, for real.
Like,
it's like, oh, dude, it's all these shitty YouTubers, man, are all like that. Like, look at fucking Jake Paul just was like getting under some water for fucking like raping some chick, dude. Like,
did you see? Because he had his fight or whatever against that washed-up wrestler. Did you see that?
Oh yeah, he did, didn't he?
Against Ben Askren. He was like he's like, yeah, I'm finally fighting a real fighter. And it was like a UFC fighter who hadn't fought in 5 years, and his background was wrestling. He'd never boxed. I'm like, wow, congratulations. Yeah. Like,
probably more of a challenge than that fucking basketball player, though. Like, to be honest,
probably. But Pete Davidson was like the ringside announcer.
Pete Davidson was.
Yeah, he was like, welcome to the Jake Paul Ben Askren fight, and this fight is a very special night because it shows us just how far boxing has fell. That was how he's like, we're gonna go into Jake Paul's dressing room, locker room now. Like, he goes to interview Jake Paul, and the first question he asks, they're like, Jake Paul and Ben Askren are both standing there, and Pete Davidson just goes, he goes, so Jake, what do you say about the rape allegations?
That's fucking great, dude.
Pete Davidson stole the show. Like, it was all him that night. The fights were disastrous. I didn't even watch it, but like the fight, from everything I heard, the fights were disastrous. But I saw the Pete Davidson clips, and I'm like, that's awesome.
That's so funny, dude. Like, that Pete Davidson's like scrawny asses are calling a boxing match, dude. Is like Pete. He's probably like stoned out of his mind, so he don't give a fuck about.
Oh, absolutely. And then Jake Paul was like, I heard you moved back in with your mom. Pete Davidson's like, yeah, I did. He's like, rent was getting expensive in New York. And they're just, it's like, he's like, I wanted those homemade pancakes again. Oh my God.
Like, Jake Paul the Paul guys, both of them always try to get on like insulting people and stuff. Like, they think that their roast games are like super fucking...
it's not that great. No. Logan's gotten a lot better though. As far as like not being a jackass.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I think it's funny, like, them not being a jackass is literally just them not coming into like a potentially career-ending scandal. He hasn't had a potentially career-ending scandal in a while.
No. Logan Paul, he's got his podcast now. I feel like he's actually grown up a lot, because he, like, fuck, what was it? Because that Japan thing was really where people really turned against him. Do you remember that, the suicide forest?
Yeah, I remember the suicide forest thing. I was actually in Kuwait when that happened, but
Oh, okay.
that I remember that happened, but like I remember that like he issued an apology for that, and like people, I don't know, that was kind of like before people on YouTube started doing apology videos a lot.
Yeah.
Remember, I don't know if you remember. I feel like that's just kind of like the
That,
turning point where people started like finally going after YouTubers on their bullshit. But
yeah. That was before cancel culture was really bad, though.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that was kind of like the one of the first real thing. I mean, he deserved that. Like
Yeah.
people always want to trash on cancel culture, but it's also like what's responsible for
There.
like
So
that, you know what I
the
mean?
problem is it started off as a good thing, and it's like Black Lives Matter, right? It started off as a good thing, and it just got overrun by crazy people and taken out of control.
I mean, it's funny. Like, I don't know. Like, there's some people that have been quote unquote canceled for like, and probably and shouldn't have, you know what I mean? But like,
Sure.
there have been a lot of people recently that have gotten the old cancel train, and like James Charles got fucking demonetized because he kept fucking hitting on minors on the
Yeah, I
internet.
mean, when
Like,
you're doing stuff that's actually illegal, yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
that's
Yeah.
where I think that cancel culture should actually go. Like, they shouldn't go after like this morality shit. They should really just go for people that are doing actual illegal
Yeah.
stuff. Like,
Well, and the issue becomes they're not even going after celebrities anymore. They're finding like off-color remarks from just random people and then doxing them and ruining their life.
hell
And I'm
yeah,
like, dude,
dude.
you find a tweet from 5 years ago. Well, he represents his employer. I'm like, dude, you know that it has nothing to do with his employer and everything about you feeling a sense of power that you don't get in the real world. That's all there is to it. You don't give a fuck about the public image of State Farm. You know what I like? That doesn't
Yeah.
matter to you. You're
I've
doing it
always
because it
said
makes you feel
too,
strong.
I've always thought too that if you're actually like worth anything to your employer, like they're not gonna give a fuck, dude.
No,
Like,
I'm like, because people are stupid that call these employers, like they don't realize how expensive it is and how difficult it is to fire someone and then hire someone else. Like honestly,
especially if you work somewhere like in the Midwest that like actually like has labor
sure.
shortages where it's
Yeah.
hard to find people for jobs. Like, these
Yeah.
kind of people are like the people that live in like the West Coast, like where they don't give a fuck about like getting rid of somebody because there's 100 people that will apply for the same
Yeah.
barista job. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. They're used to calling people in, yeah, LA, New York, and shit like that. And it's like,
even
if
down
you,
here in El Paso, it's like that, man. Like, it's not guaranteed to get those like entry level jobs because there's
mm.
so much like labor like that. Like,
Well, I mean, it's a pain in the ass to fire someone. It's a pain in the ass to be short staffed. And it's a pain in the ass to have to train someone else and go through the
mm-hmm,
hiring process. Like these people have never run businesses before that think this is going to work. You know, if
mm-hmm.
you were to call me and say, you know, one of your employees said something bad over the internet, I'd probably give them a raise. Like that's like
Well,
that.
here's the thing is like in the corporate environment now where this really matters, like where people really try to get people fired on,
Mhm.
what is like, dude, they're not going to replace somebody at least for 2 to 3 months, like at
Mm-mm.
least. That's best case scenario. Like,
Yeah,
it's
it's corporate
so,
America because
yeah, because it takes so long to go through the hiring process. It's so bureaucratic to get somebody hired, to get somebody
well,
background checks. You
a
know what I
lot of the
mean? Like,
time the firing process isn't right away. They have to get the
mhm.
complaint to HR, receive it, process it, overview it with their superiors, and then they have to talk to you, and you know it's, and you let you know, hey, you might be fired for this, and then you get fired like a week later. Like it's not like, unless you directly fuck up or you get caught stealing or something like that, they're not going to fire you right away.
And I don't think any place is firing people over just, you know what I mean, one like fucking dumb tweet where they called
No,
somebody like a faggot or something
no.
like 10 years ago. Like, the people are getting fired over like running like Nazi sympathizer pages, or
Yeah,
running like running like the pages where they post like videos of dogs getting like fucking strangled to death and shit. You know what I
those
mean?
people should
Like,
be shot first off and
yeah, they're like
foremost.
people that are like consistently doing like messed up stuff on the internet. It's not like
Yeah, but they
one
don't think
guy.
it's that way. They think that they can call, and there have been people that have gone on and found like high school kids saying like the word retard or using like the N word
Mm,
from a song lyric, not in a racist, but you know what I mean, right? Like
hmm.
Kendrick Lamar lyrics or something like that, and they'll call like the colleges that these kids got accepted to and get them blackballed and kicked out of the university, and that actually happens because these colleges
Yeah,
are
that's
woke, and I'm
true.
like that like.
That's
You,
why I
you
don't put any what college I go to on any of my social media.
yeah,
Because
no,
I
if
do
you
engage in cyberbullying.
I mean, if you have
It's
your college or your employer or anything on your social media, you fucked up unless you own your own business.
mm,
Like
yeah, then they're gonna call you. Like they're gonna call you and be like, "Guess what, bitch?
well, that's what
I'm gonna
like
give him a raise." We're pro cyberbully at this company.
That's right. I'm giving myself a raise, motherfucker. We're pro. It's like, oh, he called you a fag. Well, were you being one?
Yeah, well,
What were you
I
doing?
mean, what's the context of this, man?
Yeah.
Like, were you being one? Like, come on now. I trust my employee. I trust his judgment. So
It's like all the other people that called complaining about him sounded like they had it coming to me. So you better have a pretty convincing argument here.
it's so funny, man. Like, even dude, that conversation about the word faggot is like gone back to like what when South Park came out with that episode like 10 years ago about how nobody call I like only a very small percentage of people I feel like in real life actually call people faggots or being gay. And
Right.
those people are like dumb. We don't care about their opinions. But
Yeah.
it's like, dude, even back like 10, 15 years ago, it seemed like everyone was just calling people that to like when they were being really annoying.
Yeah.
And I know that meaning of that word has changed like a million times. So it's
Sure.
like, why, people were just not wanting to let go of that and just let it be a fucking an insult to somebody being annoying. Like, you know what
Yeah.
I
I,
mean?
I don't say it very often.
I don't
I
say it
prefer
anymore either, but
retard.
that's only because, retard too. It's just because people give you like, you know
I
what I
use
mean?
retard on stage a lot though.
I only say retard if it's like that's like almost like saying cunt now for me. Like
Yeah.
somebody's got to be a real fucking cunt for me to call him a cunt. You know what I mean?
The word cunt just carries so much of a punch. Like we've decided that like you can use any word in the English language, but the word cunt, if you say that, it's over. Like the
Mm-hmm.
second the word cunt comes out, it's like you've crossed the line.
Yeah,
Anything
so
else is fine.
people are like, "Oh damn!" Like, better this person must be doing something fucked up, dude.
So did you see Chris Baker had a not an apology, but like an explanation thing?
There is no amount of explanation. It's pretty fucking self-explanatory what that shit was, dude. Like
He
that
said
dude
so.
literally went out and Googled like fucking monkeys like
So,
cheering.
so he said, so for those of you that don't know, Chris Baker was a radio show host. He's actually not. He's in Omaha now, but he's been all over the country. He used to be a traveling comic. He'd open for like Jeff Foxworthy, Larry the Cable Guy, people like that. Um, but he's had radio shows all over the country. And after the Chauvin verdict came out, he tweeted guilty, and it was like a picture. It was like a GIF of an African tribe, and it made them look like monkeys, and they were jumping up and down like dancing.
cheering.
Yeah, and he deleted
Very,
it right
very
away.
messed up.
It was deleted like within minutes. And so what he says, he claims that, and this actually kind of makes sense, not all of it, but some of it, that he tweeted it. He said he clicked the wrong GIF. He looked something else up, and I've looked up everything that he possibly could have looked up, and I cannot find that image in it. So I don't think he's telling the truth. But he said he fat fingered it, and he couldn't get it down fast enough because he was in the middle of an interview and trying to get a guest to come on. The guest that he was trying to get on, or the guest that he was interviewing, was actually Tony Connor, who's been on our show.
Wow,
Yeah,
dude.
while this happened.
Wow.
So and he's like, I couldn't take it down fast enough, and by the time I got it, I'm like, I don't know if I
That's some horse shit, dude. You
Yeah.
tried being funny and then you're like, oh fuck.
Yep, you tweeted an edgy joke, and it's like, like a Louis J. Gomez or somebody could get away with that, but you work on iHeartRadio, man. You got to play
Yeah.
by their rules. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, for real.
Like I don't know. So
Right. Yeah. The Derek Chauvin thing happened. What was that, like last Wednesday or something like that,
yeah,
right?
do you think it's gonna get appealed?
It's honestly, yeah, I think it's gonna go to appeal. I think whoever that judge is that's reviewing the appeal is just gonna be like, no, dude.
So I'm
like
just
they don't just.
sorry, go ahead.
From what I understand, just because somebody like they go to appeal it doesn't mean that it's going to get appealed.
No,
Like
it usually
every lawyer
doesn't.
tries. Yeah, they always try to appeal it, but it's like they don't have to if they don't feel like they need to.
Yeah, my thing with that is, I guess what confuses me is, how is he convicted of 3 different charges of murder and manslaughter? Like, wouldn't it just be one or the other?
I'm not sure. I mean, shit, you'd have to ask a lawyer on that,
Mm-hmm.
but I know that when it comes to murder, like the different charges is kind of like how more of how the murder took place.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe because he had a bunch of different opportunities to not kill the dude, you know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
Like they just charge you with different cases for different acts.
Okay, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing, but like I'm not a fucking lawyer, so I have no fucking clue.
Neither am
That's
I.
yeah, that's an educated guess, but it's I mean like he did have like 10 whole minutes of opportunity to not fucking murder the dude, you know what I mean? Like
Right, right. There were
maybe
4 cops
they
there. You telling me 4 cops can't restrain a guy?
yeah, for real. And I mean, they took him out of the police car. Like, I mean, dude, everything that needed to be said about that case has been said because, like, the dude got fucking, dude's probably going to spend their 50, 60 years in jail. He's definitely going to die
Solitary.
in jail.
He's gonna kill himself.
I mean, he's definitely going to be not in Gen Pop because the fucking Gen Pop prisoners will fucking murder that dude.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I think it was Tim Dillon said, "Why couldn't the CIA just do the right thing and just kill this guy?" He's like, "We already know you killed Epstein in prison. Why can't you just save us from the riots? Why now you have to let the justice system take course?"
Yeah, for real, man.
Did you see the other one in Columbus?
Oh, which one? There's
The
been so many
stabbing
of
one.
those. There's
The girl
been
with the
so many
knife.
of those things come out. I'm just like, bruh, like a
The
lot of these
Micaiah.
ones that people try to get on the internet and try to spread around, like as like some case of injustice. A lot of them,
It's
I'm
usually
just like,
not.
yeah, I'm just like, bro, come on.
Well, the Micaiah Bryant one was the 15-year-old girl in Columbus that got shot.
Is she the one like with the knife that
She
like they
had the
called the
knife. She literally had the person pinned up against the car and was in the act of stabbing her. And I'm like, dude, if the police can't shoot someone in the act of stabbing someone else, why do we even have the police? Why are they
yeah.
carrying weapons? You know, like here's my thing. I think Dante Wright, the guy with the air freshener thing that got shot in the back or whatever
Mm-hmm.
in Minnesota, I think there's too much of a black and white bullshit right now. And I'm not saying on racial, I'm talking as far as people have to stand on one side or the other, right?
Mm-hmm.
On every issue. Everything's got to be black and white. And it's not. There's a lot of gray. I think Dante Wright was unjustly killed by
I
an
think that
incompetent police officer.
I think that the guy that the one army officer that got maced, dude, I thought he died, and then my older brother was like, no, he just got maced. I'm like, oh, thank fucking God,
I know,
dude.
right?
But yeah, that army officer that got unjustly pulled over, I mean, both those cops got fired, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the things I'm like criticized of is like when they don't get fired or they get fired but they still get their pension and medical
Right.
benefits or something like that
Right.
for doing something clearly fucked up. It's like,
Well, it was
yeah,
like that cop in Arizona that shot that guy on his knees. You know,
mm-hmm.
and the guy he shot was a white guy.
Yeah,
And
it was a white. He was a white guy in like a hotel room.
yeah.
He had like an airsoft gun because and like people thought that he like they called saying he had an actual gun and the guy was like straight up like
He was
abusing.
drunk. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was visibly intoxicated, and the guy literally made him play a game of Simon Says for his life while the guy's drunk and under intense amounts of stress,
Yeah,
and then
he's like
shot him
fucking
on his knees.
crying. Yeah, and
Yeah.
he shot him in the back of the head, like out his
Yeah.
feet, like some fucking dog, dude.
Yeah.
And then that guy got let go, but
He got
he's
his
still
job back.
He no, he didn't get his job back
Oh,
from
he
what I
didn't?
understand.
Oh, okay.
No,
I thought he
he
did.
so it's even more bullshit, dude. The guy doesn't have to work. He still collects his fucking pension
Oh, he gets
benefits.
disability. That's what
Yeah,
it
he
is.
gets
Yeah.
disability and medical benefits that from, and also he gets medical coverage for the PTSD that the whole trial incident caused him. It's like,
So yeah, now he gets paid to the same amount of money to not work. So if anything, he
yeah,
got off better because he killed someone. Like
yeah.
that's fucked up.
That's taxpayer dollars, man. Like
Yeah.
that's why you should have an opinion about this kind of shit because it's like it is your tax money. Like if you're a police officer, you're a civil servant, your tax dollars are what pay these people's salaries. Like,
well, and then I mean, so like I think Dante Wright was unjustly killed by police, but with Micaiah Bryant, you know, if someone's trying to stab me and you have a gun, I hope you shoot them.
yeah,
Like,
I know everyone was saying like the biggest thing is that they need to worry about oh, who called the cops? Did the 15-year-old girl call the cops
who
about it or something
fucking
like that?
cares? She was trying to kill somebody.
Yeah, it's like, dude, I understand for self-defense, but like once the cops have got there, dude, like that
Yeah.
you just shouldn't have to be actively trying to stab somebody. So
No.
yeah,
No.
I mean,
Yeah. You shouldn't be actively trying. I mean, She slammed the girl against the car. Like the girl was
that's a
standing
case
there.
where if that girl was like a white girl or like even like a Mexican girl or something or anybody other than a black girl, nobody would have given a fuck about that.
Yeah, I mean that honestly, there's good shootings and there's bad shootings. It's unfortunate that anything has to become a shooting, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if someone came at me with it, or if I was out, with my girlfriend and some woman came at her with a knife and I shot the woman, I'm not doing a day in jail for that.
Yeah,
You know
exactly.
what I mean? That's how it works. Someone else is in danger, you acted to save them. So what they're basically saying, people like LeBron James, is that black life mattered more than the one she was trying to take. That's basically
there's a reason that LeBron immediately deleted that and everyone's clowning on him. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I think people are kind of on the same page about that, at least the logical people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When it comes to all these kind of issues, it's never like the people on the extreme ends that you need to pay or that matter when it comes to that. It's more of like the people that are kind of like the more logical center that are trying to kind of decide about where they stand on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think that's the problem with social media in general is the loudest, most extreme voices just get amplified the most. And it's like, it may really only be like 40 or 50 people, but if those 40 or 50 people never shut the fuck up, then they're the ones who are going to get
40 or 50
heard.
people are Sean White, you know what I mean?
Oh, gee, Sean King. Sean White's the snowboarder.
Or Sean King. Yeah, Sean King. Yeah. They both are of the same complexion. So
white. Yeah. You see, that was a Freudian slip because Sean King is white.
He's like, I don't know. He's a pretty white passing black guy. You know what I mean?
No, he's actually white. I thought like both his parents or something.
I don't know. I don't know, man. I basically know he's basically like the black guy equivalent of like the white dude that's like 1/16 Native American, and like that's what he puts on the census stuff.
That's what Zach Bravietti will do. Like he found out that he was like 3% Native, like Cherokee. And whenever he's around Mia, because Mia's half Omaha, whenever he's around her, he'll start talking about our people.
Mia's like the ultimate American, man. She's like just a bunch of everything. Like
she's just three: Native, Mexican, and German.
Yeah, that's like the backbone of America there, dude.
Fair. Yeah. No, I remember he said it at a show one time, and I was like, Zach, I went up on stage after him, and I was like, Zach, Mia looks like Pocahontas, and you look like John Smith. Shut the fuck up. You're colonizing ass.
Oh my god. That's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I agree with you. And it's like really evident when this kind of stuff happens because you just see like all these fucking cop cases come out. Like I know the one with the guys in the police pepper spraying the army officer guy. That was something that happened like fucking, year and a half, 2 years ago.
And they just released the body camera. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, well, the reason that they take so long to release that footage is because, like, dude, they have to go do their own investigation and shit, and you know what I mean? Like, if so, they can't just have like public pressure affecting their decision.
Yeah,
but like, I mean, they make a lot of times. I think the police forces in parts of the country make the right decisions. You know what I mean? Like. That's something I think that people don't want to acknowledge is that America is a huge fucking country with more than 20 like major cities. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like something like Kansas City and Omaha's police forces, which I honestly think do the right thing most of the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Are a lot different than like Twin Cities, Minnesota,
LA.
where clearly, LA, or clearly like those police forces like those are like fucked up in the top, you know what I mean? Like they need to get restructured like from the top down. Chicago,
Chicago's the worst. Chicago, they were like torturing suspects.
Yeah, dude. Some like deep south cities, you know what I mean? Like so it's just like it's like I want to say like defunding the police I think is a good like where they said just say dude, you should just give the police less money and give those to other public sources. You know
but the problem is when you defund the police and you take money away from them, you get people that aren't trained as well and make stupid mistakes like grabbing their gun instead of their taser.
Yeah, well, they're already you can do quick draw training without a lot of fucking money. I promise you that. And that's a problem.
But I'm talking de-escalation training and racial. I mean, like you can't say, hey, I want de-escalation training. I want racial sensitivity. I want civilian review committees. And then at the same time say, we also need to take money away from them. Because if you're going to add those things, you at the very least need to keep the same amount of funding and just relocate it. You can't keep taking money from it.
Here's the thing: is things like civilian review
Oversight,
committees, right? Not a part of the police, so that's not going to be the police budget.
Sure, but racial sensitivity training is, and so
and I mean, you could do that by not letting. Yeah, exactly, and you could do that by not giving as much money, because racial sensitivity training is a lot cheaper than buying a fucking MRAP for your riot
Oh no,
control.
and I agree. You don't need military vehicles in the, like, you see these police getting like kicked, and I think it's part of the Patriot Act, if I'm not mistaken. They get kickbacks and shit that didn't get used or was like lightly used in Afghanistan and Iraq. And, you know, it's part of the problem with the military industrial complex is they have all these tools and they just want to keep using them. And Joe Biden, the Biden administration has ramped up, not cut back, ramped up the amount of militarized gear that's going into inner cities with police.
Yeah, like they like even just the operational use of like those like armored vehicles and like the that SWAT team uses, and like, dude, literally all the police in the riot stuff were using MRAPs. MRAPs are designed, or MRAPs, the whole thing about MRAPs is they're really tall up, they have huge tires, and they have V-shaped armor underneath them to stop explosions from underneath of them completely tearing it apart. Bro, why do you need one of those for fucking riot control?
Yeah,
like,
no.
You know what I mean?
When the police look like a standing army, and don't get me wrong, I don't have a problem with SWAT team guys showing up with plate carriers and AR-15s. You know, they're going to be up against people with the same thing. But yeah, I mean, when you look like an occupying army, it's like, okay.
Even squad cars carrying AR-15s in their trunk. Like, dude, you know, you fucking need an AR-15 in squad cars.
I've told you why they do that, though, right?
I know why they do it, but I think it's a bullshit reason why they do it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, not all of them have them though, do they?
Every cop I've talked to says they do. I mean,
oh really?
Yeah,
I didn't know it was like that.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just bullshitting, and maybe I've just talked to the guy that like works the higher risk stuff or something.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I know a lot of cops at least up in Nebraska. I was in a military police unit in the reserves, and then also like I'm friends with like a bunch of cops. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, the problem with an AR-15 in the trunk is it's like because
it's not quickly accessible.
It's not quickly accessible, but the problem is, like, in Nebraska, you have unless you're in your home, you have a duty to retreat. So if I'm out downtown and I'm having some problems with somebody that's harassing me, and I go to my car, grab my gun from my car, and then come back and shoot them, I've just committed a murder. You know what I mean? Because I could have left. So if a cop's to the point where his sidearm isn't enough, and he is able to get to his trunk, pop the trunk open, and grab the AR out the back, I mean, that's more than enough time to de-escalate the situation. You know what I mean?
And the problem is they think that they're going to stop like a terrorist attack, like it's fucking speed or something.
24.
You know what I mean? Yeah, dude. They think they're gonna stop like a fucking the IRA from coming into Omaha and fucking blowing up a bank or some shit. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to do that, dude. Like,
no. No, not at all. And plus,
I even remember asking like the guy that was telling me about having his AR in the trunk. I was like, bro, why do you have an AR in the trunk? You work like fucking like highway duty, dude. Like, you're not. I understand police carrying like pistols and stuff, and even shotguns, because I think shotguns are the best kind of like inside close quarters, like your fight. You know what I mean? Like the kind of stuff that police normally deal with.
In my house, honestly, I'd rather have a handgun though, because it's easier to maneuver. I don't have to worry about it.
The cool thing about shotguns is like if you're like going in an apartment complex, like pistol rounds. I mean, I know you use hollow points, but police really don't.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. They use those critical duty shit. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, like things like that have a little bit more penetrating power. It's like a shotgun, dude. It's not going to go through the wall and like fucking hit your neighbor's computer and blow it up. You know what I mean? Like,
I remember
it's bad anyway.
I was at Cabela's and a guy was trying to upsell me on that there on the because there's Hornady. I carry Hornady because it's the best ammunition out there. They have critical defense and critical duty. Critical defense is like a hollow point, and it's been rated the best hollow point out there, unless you're going to spend absurd amounts of money. And then critical duty is like made for police. And he's like, yeah, it's made to shoot through walls and car windows and vehicle doors. I'm like, why the fuck
hollow
would
points
I want...
Hollow points would really just like bounce off a windshield pretty much when they.
But I'm like, dude, I live in an apartment. Why would I want that? Like, I'm not trying to kill my neighbor's dog. Like, what's the matter with you?
Yeah, exactly. Most like civilian quick draw, like concealed carry uses are like dude's like 5 feet away from you. You know what I mean? Like something where you need to quickly draw and shoot like like a couple rounds off on some guy. You know what I mean? Like it's not like a dude's rolling up to you. They're like taking cover behind walls, and you're in like a fucking John Woo shootout.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not like John Wick where I mean, most cases of home defense with a firearm, it's one guy broke into your house. He might have one for himself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a matter of and usually nobody even gets hit. The guy usually ends up leaving the house without dying, without even being hit by gunfire. Like I told you, I knew a guy that he had an uncle who was an ATF agent, and he was undercover, and he got made in the car while undercover, got into a shootout with the guy. Both of them reloaded 3 times. Over 45 rounds were shot, or no, 2 times they both reloaded. Over 45 rounds were shot. Fucking car seat next to each other, driver's seat and passenger seat. Nobody was hit once. Like,
yeah, because it's a pistol, and pistols are like only effective like out to 25 feet. Like,
yeah, nobody got hit once. Fucking right next to each other, and it's that like that's just crazy to me. And
that's how ballistics work, man. Like,
yeah, it's not like the movies at all. Or because that was one of the things I saw with the Micaiah Bryant thing was a journalist said, why couldn't they shoot the knife out of her hand? I'm like, dude, this isn't Fallout. Like,
that's not fucking Red Dead Redemption, man. Like, yeah.
Like I
pistols
don't think
pistols really aren't very accurate, man. Like I do, they tell you to aim center mass for some reason, for the main reason. Like they tell them like, oh, why don't you just shoot him in the leg or something like that? It's like,
because you'd bleed to death if you got shot.
Well, you know what would happen if they shot or tried to aim for the leg is they'd probably miss the leg and hit the fucking person's crotch or something that was right in front of her.
Or they'd miss the leg and it'd ricochet off the cement and hit somebody who had nothing to do with it.
Exactly.
And then you're going to be talking about how reckless the police were, and we're going to be right back at square one. So
exactly.
It's like, there's no, look, man, bottom line, there's no good way to shoot somebody because, if you're in a position where you got to shoot somebody, it's unfortunate to begin with. But if you're going to do it, there is a right way to shoot somebody. You don't aim for, because that's what everyone says. You're not shooting. It's the misconception. You're not shooting to kill. You're shooting to stop. Right. Mm-hmm. And the best way to stop them is to hit them center mass, until they stop coming. Because you're actually
going to hit them. That's the biggest target. Like,
yeah, and they may live. You're not trying to kill them. You're not shooting for the head. You're not shooting for the leg. You're shooting at the most effective way to stop a suspect or to stop an assailant. That's what you're supposed to do. There's, so
hopefully, hopefully, the best case scenario is like you hit them in like the shoulder or something, or like not in the heart, and don't kill them. And then they can be prosecuted for whatever fucking crime they're
committing. Yeah, but then they sue you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like I said, I don't understand 100%. Policing is a very, very tough job. Like, I feel like I come from, I mean, like, because you understand ballistics and shooting, and I mean, like, know about that kind of stuff. Like, like, I feel I understand when police feel like people that aren't qualified to talk about high stress situations or like weighing in on it, like fucking cozy journalists and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, I understand that you need a particularly good, like, you know what I mean? Like a decision maker on the ground, and not everyone is like that. And there's a lot of fucking dumbass old heads in police forces like Derek Chauvin that, you know what I mean? We're back in the 80s when you could fucking beat the shit out of some crackhead and not give a fuck about it. And you know what I mean? It wouldn't end up on the internet.
Sure. Well, you know what the craziest thing about the Floyd thing is if that wasn't cut on video, those guys would have walked.
Hell yeah, dude. That's all. And that's what, dude, when people are so critical of like the police, they're critical of these organizations and stuff that are like that literally, like, yeah, nothing would have happened to these people. It would have just been another fucking day, because I mean, they looked into the history of that cop. He had done it like shit like that, like 18 times, man.
Yeah, exactly. That's so,
yeah.
Do you think there was a conspiracy there?
What do you mean?
Have you heard the conspiracy?
No. Well, okay, so yeah, I would like to know what that is.
So the conspiracy, because
interesting.
Floyd and Chauvin worked together at a nightclub, right? A nightclub in Minneapolis that's kind of infamous for some not so good stuff going in and out down there. So like prostitution type stuff. Sorry, I got distracted by a text message.
Like human trafficking stuff.
Yeah. So the conspiracy is because those, and that's a fact. Everyone knows those two work together. There's pictures of them and stuff. So the conspiracy is that George Floyd was going to blow the top off this prostitution thing or this human trafficking thing going in and out of the club, and Derek Chauvin killed him to cover it up because the Minneapolis PD is also involved with it.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's a very, like a Coombs razor. You know what I mean? That's a really complicated thing.
Hey, we need Alex Jones on here to tell us.
Like, I don't know, man. I think I mean, because you see this even when you go through social media and you see the people like have opinions on this. It's like clearly the George Floyd was like on some kind of drug or something like that. Like, I mean, I'm not even saying it was an illegal drug. It's just been some medication.
It was fentanyl.
It was fentanyl. Okay, so yeah. But illegal. Still, though, you know what I mean? Like, people really dehumanize like people or like that. Like, people think like, oh, it's just a crackhead. You know, it's like, bro, it's a person. It doesn't matter if they're a crackhead or not. Like, you know what I mean?
Don't get to kill them because they're on drugs. The punishment for drugs isn't death.
Yeah, so like those conservative people are the people that don't, like, you know what I mean? Those kind of people that are like a lot of the back the blue people think that it's okay that he got killed because was on drugs.
Yeah,
it's like, no, dude, like that doesn't justify shit.
No, it doesn't. And it's like I said, everything's so black and white. You know, the cops aren't always right and the cops aren't always wrong. You know, it's in between. And I can repeat that till I'm blue in the face. So
exactly. Yep. And I think you're 100% right on that. The world, America's very chaotic. So
yeah, exactly.
I think when people are being really specific about what they want changed, like the thing, like getting rid of the acquired immunity and stuff, like those are very specific changes that people are like wanting, because like you can't just not do anything because it's you know what I mean, like it's a problem kind of across the board that the bad cops don't get taken care of, like and the way that they should, like get fired and stuff. So
have you seen that you
can't just
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say you can't just not go on doing nothing.
Well, the qualified immunity thing just reminded me. Have you seen that they're trying to make it so gun manufacturers can be sued for deaths?
Yeah, that's like a part of like Biden's gun control plan, right?
Yeah. So everyone, when you hear about the government taking your guns, it's not going to be jackbooted thugs kicking your door in and dragging you out, right? That's not what they're going to do. What they're going to do, and they're not going to ban them because what their plan is, what they want to do, because they know the American people aren't just going to go for an assault weapons ban and then a handgun ban. It's just not going to happen, right? What they're going to do is they're going to make it so gun manufacturers can be sued. So if your kid gets shot in a drive-by by a Glock, every time someone gets killed by a Glock or with a Glock or whatever brand, the family can sue them. Can sue Glock, and they're liable for it, and they'll lose. So what they'll do is they'll just bleed these gun manufacturers dry on legal fees and settlements, and they won't be able to stay in business. That's how they'll do it. They're not going to come kick your door in and take your guns. They're just going to run these companies out of business.
You know where that plan is flawed, I think, for that? The most people that get hit in these, like, those kind of stuff like that, like, you know, and drive-bys and stuff like that, are poor people.
Doesn't matter. There's lawyers. So
they're not going to afford the lawyer fees.
No, here's the thing though. I'm in the middle of a civil suit. I can't really talk about what's going on. Or I'm the plaintiff. I'm the one suing. Your lawyer doesn't get paid till you do. So you don't have to worry about any of that.
Well, there's a lot of lawyers though that charge up front stuff, aren't there?
If for criminal defense, yes. If you're suing someone and you're looking for a lawyer and that lawyer wants you to pay them up front, find a new lawyer because that person's bad at their job. Because that means they're not confident that they're going to win, is what that means. Because your lawyer will take, if you settle out of court, it's 28%. If you have to go to court, it's 33%. So any good civil lawsuit lawyer isn't going to ask for money up front.
Well, they should also, I think they should do that with cars too, man.
Yeah.
That's it. Anytime you
That's the
get
next
killed in a
step.
drunk driving incident, let's
can
make
sue
it to
Ford.
where you can sue Ford or
Yeah.
Kia or whatever, man. Yeah.
That's in it. And honestly, I'm so worried that COVID has just set this dangerous precedent that they can just declare anything they want to be a medical emergency or public health crisis, bypass Congress, and do whatever they want. And I'm afraid they're going to do that with guns. Because
Well,
Fauci's already said.
I don't think COVID is what this. I think 9/11 is what really started that with the fucking the Patriot Act, man. I think
COVID amplified it though.
Yeah, that kind of. I think COVID is like an example of them doing it, but like this shit's been like this since they passed the Patriot Act, man. Like, this is just them being able to do it. Although with the COVID thing, the only thing I can think of like is like there's a lot of people that wanted like the stay-at-home stuff, which is like you can debate that shit all fucking day. You know what I mean?
But there's a lot of people who didn't, and
exactly.
If I own a business or whatever, I shouldn't have to lose my business because you're scared. Don't go out. Real. That's what it comes down to. Don't go out.
Doing it for a year was definitely a little. It was definitely a political game. Like they were just. I think if Trump wasn't president when this had happened,
it would have lasted 2 weeks.
Yeah, it would have been like 2 weeks to a month or something like that. 2 months. I don't know, man.
We're not fans of Trump on here, but we've made that clear. But to say he wasn't railroaded by every institution possible, you've got your blinders on. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, dude.
The media couldn't do anything right against him.
The dude couldn't do anything right, man. He banned travel to China before the pandemic started.
And everyone called him
racist. And then he started doing stuff. And then they said he wasn't doing enough, and he didn't do enough to act to stop the pandemic from spreading.
Yeah, he banned, come on. He banned travel to and from China. People said he was xenophobic. And then a couple weeks later, he didn't do it fast enough.
And it's not even people; it was like the news sources, and then the same news sources, like 2 months later, it's like, dude, the guy who owns CNN already came out after like a month ago or whatever, and said that he was doing a conspiracy to get Trump not reelected.
Yeah.
Like
they were that James O'Keefe guy from Project Veritas. You saw that, right?
Mm-hmm.
He set up the honeypot operation, the fake Tinder date with a higher up at CNN. And he admitted that they railroaded Trump to this girl on a Tinder date. As if it wasn't already. They kicked James O'Keefe off Twitter. Oh, it was clear. I mean, it just kind of confirmed what everyone knew that wasn't totally blind.
And they kicked him off Twitter because that would be bad for Twitter views.
Harassment or something that's stupid like that. And I mean, it's just all a fucking game. And it's like clearly they didn't want him. And it doesn't matter what you think of Trump or not. But do you remember in the very beginning of the pandemic? I'm talking first 2 or 3 weeks. When nobody knew what was going on, the federal government was scrambling and they were saying you need to lock down, blah, blah, blah. There were a lot of people on the left that were very concerned about civil liberties. And I'm like, we're seeing George Bush 9/11 shit all over again, right? Like this is going to be George Bush Patriot Act. The left-wing people are going to be more libertarian. The right-wing people are going to be more authoritarian. And then something switched and I don't know what it was. Because the people were super gung-ho about Trump and, the government's taking our civil liberties and, you can't tell us to do that. But something changed along the way about a month in and it switched. And the people on the left were all, you have to lock down. If you leave your house, you're going to kill your grandma, like shit like that. And it's just something switched and it's weird. And I'd be interested to go back and look and see where it was.
I feel like the people, like the left-leaning people that were really like for all the lockdowns and stuff, were trying to divert what the people that were like kind of against the government authoritarianism of it, they were kind of trying to deflect what they were wanting by putting in the spotlight all the people that were just pissed off about being made to wear masks. Where like the people that were like bringing up good points is that like what you say is like, dude, like they have government enforced lockdowns where businesses, like the small businesses, could not survive.
Right.
And then like, it's like the government was forcing people to not go out, and then they didn't help. But they gave money to the fucking Los Angeles Sparks or whatever, for the loans.
I think the hostility toward the masks isn't directly toward the masks. I think people, pun intended, but you got to peel back the mask on here to see what people are actually mad about. They're not mad about the masks. The masks are a symbol of everything you have taken from us in the last year. You know, like if they would have come out and said, first thing, they wouldn't have locked the country down. They just sort of like, look, can you guys please just wear a mask when you go out in public? We're not going to shut the country down. We're not going to do it. Maybe no like.
And then also tell these businesses, And also tell these businesses that if they wanted to kick people out for not wearing a mask, that the police would the polices and stuff would support their decision for
Sure.
that.
Yeah. If they would have done that from the beginning, I don't think there would have still been some people, and I don't think you would have seen as much hostility toward the masks. But the masks are a symbol of, for the last year, you have ruined our businesses, taken our jobs. You have not protected people from being evicted from their homes because you made it so they couldn't work anymore. And now you're telling me I got to put this thing on my face? Fuck you. That's what it's a symbol of, and that's why people are upset. And there's a lot of people out there, I call them the mask people, because they're super gung-ho about COVID. You know, the branch Covidians is what Gabe Freyer calls them. But they're disingenuous because they're not willing to look at why are people so upset right now. You know, they can't fathom why anyone wouldn't have wanted to spend the last year locked up in their home. There are literally people who have not left their home for a year. They get broke,
I know.
and they're not people that are like someone with a loved one with cancer in the house. It's like healthy millennials, and these people haven't left their home for a year. They get their groceries delivered. They get Uber Eats if they want to go out. They work from home, or they've been on unemployment. They haven't left, and what that's going to do to these people's immune systems, dude, the flu is going to fuck them up in 2 years because they haven't been exposed
there hasn't
to
been
anything.
any flu cases in the past
Yeah, the
year,
flu's
too.
gone. We've cured it. We've cured the flu. We've cured cancer. We've killed car accidents. Nobody dies from those anymore.
I just love it when like the people in the mainstream, like all the media sources, the ones that are like on the fucking front page of YouTube every time you go onto YouTube, like they try, like those media sources have said, oh, this isn't politicized. There's no, we're just trying to report this stuff. And it's like, dude, they're so disingenuous about the information that they gave out about the pandemic. It's like, can you believe, or can you blame some people for looking at that and not like thinking it's how it is? It's like, it's not like the fucking media doesn't report, you know what I mean? It's not like they don't have an agenda. Like, you know what I mean? It's only good when like my side does it. Like, they want to fucking bitch and complain about Fox News or CNN pushing an agenda and shit. And then it's like, but if it's something that they agree about, like, oh, it doesn't matter. It's not bad if they're doing it like that.
Yep, exactly.
I mean? Like, that's just, people are just so silly about that kind of stuff. It's just so annoying. I'm like, I think you shouldn't be bastardized, or at least questioning some of the motives of some of the stuff that they're telling you. And stuff
absolutely.
Like that, and I mean, especially when the politicians that are making the stay-at-home orders aren't following them themselves.
Right, like Gavin Newsom. Well, and I think the most fucked up part about it is there are people that are concerned about the vaccine. So let's break this down. The antivaxxers, right? The people that are against like chicken pox vaccines and shit like that. The dumbasses. That's a very small segment of the population. There are a lot more people concerned about the COVID vaccine than just the anti-vaxxers, myself included.
Yeah, like look at like the Johnson & Johnson when they pulled because it was causing like a ton of blood
AstraZeneca.
Clots,
I mean, 2 of 4 have been pulled down. So I'm like, here's the problem: is they're painting anyone who's got any questions or concerns, not like total, and it's not like I give my kids essential oils. We don't need vaccines.
People that want to wait like a year or so to get the vaccine because they're worried about adverse health effects. They want to call them anti-vaxxers.
Yeah,
and it's like,
to paint someone who's concerned that, hey, they pushed this thing out in under a year as the same as just as crazy as someone that thinks that fucking tea tree oil is going to do the same thing for their kids as a polio vaccine is disingenuous, and it proves that you have ulterior motives. You know that those two people aren't the same.
A lot of that is like really selfish thinking because they just want you to get vaccinated so they can go back to like normal life.
Why are they worried? It's like, no, they want you to fall in line. They don't ever want to go back to normal life.
They want you to get vaccinated so they know that everybody's vaccinated so they can go out in public without worrying about people not being vaccinated. And it's like, dude, that's selfish because like, dude, some people are like actually worried, like, they could have like blood clots in their brain like in 6 months or so, I mean, just something crazy. I don't fucking know, man. Do you think when they were putting fucking the fucking the one shit that was causing the lung problems with the God, what the fuck was that stuff called? The asbestos. When they were putting asbestos in buildings, you think they knew that shit was going to cause lung cancer, dude? Like, no.
They used to market cigarettes to kids, man.
Like, yeah, although that was, I mean, shit, this could be like today, like that was just like this the tobacco industry like doing that. But I mean, dude, the fucking medical industry has tons of money. Yeah, Big Pharma has just
Dude.
enough money to influence stuff to get you to get it. It's like, dude,
Johnson and Johnson has paid $72 million in restitution to women with ovarian cancer caused by their baby powder, and you're gonna trust them to put chemicals into your body? I'm good.
yeah. The only reason I got the Pfizer one because like I mean, like I said, I understood the risks with it,
Mhm.
but like I just was like, no, I'm gonna go get vaccinated because I'm gonna go do school in person.
Mhm.
It's like I know that like with the Pfizer one that was that was research that had been going on for kind of a while. Like there was guys that were using SARS vaccine or SARS stuff, and they were trying to get vaccines for that. And they
Sure.
basically just used like 10-15 years of vaccine research on that, but then they used that with the entire world community on science, and they were able to develop a vaccine in like about the amount of time that they said it was going to take to make a vaccine, right? About a year and a half tops. Like, so I was like, okay, yeah, that makes about sense. That's about what they said. So I went and got it. And I mean, I got it, and it kind of jacked me up just a little bit, but it's like, yeah, I mean, I understood the risks, you know what I mean?
I mean, if I had like someone who was fighting cancer or who had beaten it in my house, or if I had like my grandma lived with me, I would go get it just to be safe for them. But I don't have any of those things.
Yeah. I'm not going to gig somebody for not wanting to get it. And like, I'll be like, oh, awesome if you are like taking the risk to go get it, but I'm never going to call you a fucking idiot for not wanting to wait a little bit to get it. Like,
and that's why it's new. It's, it's like, I've got all my vaccines, dude. I got I'm not anti-vax. I got a tetanus shot like a month ago. Right. If
I get the flu vaccine every year. Like, it's like,
I don't get that, but that's just because I don't care enough. But
yeah, I get that too. There's a lot of people like my little brother has never gotten the.
I just don't want to go out of my way. Like,
yeah, a lot of people like don't get the flu vaccine just because it's a pain in the butt to go get the flu vaccine. They don't want to spend $10. Like,
if I had kids, I would vaccinate my kids. It's not. I'm not anti-vaccines. I'm not even anti this vaccine. I'm just suspicious of it. I just want to wait. There's nothing wrong. Yeah.
Let the Johnson and Johnson ones get pulled off the market. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Well, we just did an hour and we talked about some important shit.
I think so. Yeah.
I'm sorry Chris Baker couldn't join us this week.
He's busy. He's a little busy right now. He's a little preoccupied.
He's trying to work on his podcast. He's too much of a boomer. He said he's too much of a boomer to figure out how to press the right GIF on Twitter, but he set up a podcast studio in his home in under a day.
Yeah, good excuse.
And uploaded episodes. Yeah. So he's too much of a boomer, right? Gabbie Hanna's over in the corner having a mental breakdown right now. She's out screaming at birds right now. So
she's painting her walls like a crazy colors. Like
she's painting polka dots on her house,
twitching her eyes while she does it.
she put a lampshade on. She put a lampshade on her head and started running around the neighborhood in swim trunks. Tried to ride a German Shepherd into the park.
Yeah, for real.
All right. I think we're good now. Bread and Circuses. I'm trying to think of my next show date. Nick, you said you're going to start doing some gigs down in El Paso soon.
Down in El Paso, man. I'm going to try it. Hopefully we'll get I'm going to try it for us to get some more listeners down here, especially going to school in person, man.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. And then I got, let me think, my next gig, May 8th, Lincoln, Rhomology. I got a little bit of time off, and I'm not complaining about it. So
yeah, for real, you've been working your butt off,
dude. I've been
not working my butt off enough, I guess. So
you've been doing other stuff. You got a kid, man.
Yeah.
May's gonna be a rough month. Just as far as just being all fucking over the place, but it'll be worth it. So, but yeah, I got 2 weeks off, and I'm not going to take any more gigs. So.
It's good. You need a little mental health tweak.
Yeah, little kickback, right? All right. Anyways, we are good to go, you guys. Peace the fuck out.
Deuces, y'all.